Hello guys, my name is Sharmin and today in this video we will be making a imaginary gallery layout that you can see right now on the screen. So this is what we'll be building today. So let's start over here. I have nothing fancy over here. It's just our normal HTML, okay, boilerplate code. Here I have a container div, then here I have a heading element, and we have the grid over here, okay, our grid here. And how many images we have? We have 6 images here, right? So 6 different divs, and each of your div contains an image. Alright, so let's start with here. Let's copy this path and paste it in our browser. Okay, so here you see that we have large images over here. So now let's start with first defining our rows and columns. Okay, the first step when you use grid is you have to decide how many columns and how many rows you will define. Okay, that's the very first thing that you have to decide, right, when you're making a grid. So let's give it a display of grid, right, and we go here to decide how many columns and rows. So if you guys can guess, then how many columns? 3 columns here, and they are all of same size. So we say grid template, and columns we say repeat 3 times, and they are all of same size. So we say 1fr. Alright, so we have our grid columns defined here. And now here can you guys guess and write it down in the comments below that how many rows will you require to make this layout? If you have watched my previous video, then I think you will answer it correct. But if you haven't and you don't understand how you have to decide how many rows to use, if you want to use grid row and grid column, like if you want to span your elements, then you can watch my previous video. I'll put the link in the description box below. So let me show it to you here. Here you can, if you can see, you have 1, 2 and 3, okay, right, 3 different rows. The first and the third row is same in size, but the second row is very much like it has a very little height when compared to the first and the third one. Okay, it's not even half of them. So let's start with defining our rows. Grid template and rows. Let's say first row we want it to be of 200 pixels, second maybe 50 pixels, and third also 200 pixels. Okay, so we have our grid ready, but you might think that it's still messed up, right? You cannot see your images. That's because the size of the image is very huge. So to set those images, what we will do is we will just get hold of this child class, which is applied to all the elements, and the image inside of it. Okay, the image is the child of it, right? So your image, we say max width of 100%. Okay, so we don't want our image to go out of our grid row or column, right? So that is the reason we define a max width of 100% and also a width of 100%. So we will copy this and paste it over here. Now I have seen many beginners struggling with the height of the image and how you can fit the height exactly into your grid elements. Okay, that's again a tricky part to work with. So right now let's first span our rows in let's first span, okay, our divs in the particular space that they require. So we will first do that, and then I will show you that trick, that how you can fit your image, okay, like the height and the width, and also the image won't stretch. Okay, so that I will be showing you. And also the property that we will be using to do that is object fit, and I will make a separate video on object fit and all of its properties. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so with that said, let's see how we can do this. So I haven't mentioned row lines here, but if you see, this is the 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, 4 row lines we have. So we start with our first child over here. Okay, our first child is from row number 1, 2 and 3. Okay, from 1 to 3. So here we will say grid row 1 by 3. Right, so it will take that much of space, and let's paste it over here, and let's just copy this over 3, 4, 5, and we have 6, a total of 6, right? So we say 2 here, this will be 3, this will be 4, 5 and 6. Now our second child here is this one, right? So it's from 3 to 4. So let's say 3 to 4. Then our third one here is from 1 to 2, right? So our third we will say from 1 to 2, and let's mention grid column as well. So our grid column will be second and third, right? This line number 2 and line number 3, it is 2 to 3, that means the second column. All right, so grid column will be 2, 3, and our grid row for this one will be continuation of this, that is from 2 to 4. 2 to 4 or 2 to minus 1, it means the same. Okay, not 1 minus, it should be minus 1. So minus 1 basically means the last row line or the last column line. All right, and for the fifth one, you will have the same grid row as this one. Cool. And grid column you will be having is the last column and start from the third column line, right? So 1, 2 and 3, third column line start and end at the last column line. The same thing for this one, but it will have a grid row of the second child, right? Because they are in the same path, right? So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we say 3 and 4. Now if we refresh this here, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and also we can define our grid column here if you want, not necessary, but you can define it 1 by 2, that is the first column. So paste it over here. Okay, so now if we inspect, or if we just hover over our grid, you can see we have a grid that is ready, correct? But now you might see that the images are not properly taking the height, and also it doesn't really look like what we actually want it to look like, right? It looks totally different in our design, and here it totally looks different. So now to fit our image, we will use the object fit property. Now I don't know if you guys already know about this, but if you guys don't know, then you can use this property over here. So we make it a height of 100%. It kind of looks like our design, but you can notice that the images have stretched, okay, and we don't want that to happen. So what we can do is, you can use the object fit property and say cover. Okay, we say cover, and you have them fit perfectly. Okay, so they won't stretch anymore, and they will just try and adjust themselves in that space. So we say object fit cover. Okay, there are many other properties that you can use with object fit, and I will definitely come up with a video with object fit. Okay, and now they have a border radius. If you see, a little bit of border radius, and they have a gap, right? So grid, you can say we want a grid gap of 20 pixels maybe, and the image has a border radius, right? So let's give it a border radius of 10 pixels, and here we go. So okay, and here the two things that I already used were we had the container, we gave it a width of 60% and textile line of center, and we had the body of display flex and all these things, just to bring our things in the center. Okay, so yeah, so if you see, we have our perfect Masonry layout ready. Okay, same to same like this. Okay, this might be more clear. See, okay, looks good. Now the next step is, if you click on the image over here, if you see, there will be a pop-up with the image. Actually the image size is very large over here, that is the reason it's lagging so much. So whenever you use an image, make sure you compress the image, like it should be in KBs. Here the image is actually in MB, so that is the reason it's taking time. So make sure that whenever you put any images on the website, they are not more than 500-600 KB. Okay, because that will take a lot of time to load if images are of 1 and 2 MB. Okay, so that improves your website performance if you compress your images and use them. So this is what you'll be making, and when you change, you have the next image being shown. And if you notice, this image is full in size, right? But when you see over here, it's small in size, right? We didn't define any height or width for our image, but still it fits perfect over there, and when you click, you have that big image opening up. Okay, so for this we will be using a facybox. Okay, so it is a fancy jQuery lightbox that we will be using. So for that, the first thing that we will require over here, let me word wrap this. Okay, so everything is clear. So the first thing that we will require here, this is the facybox that we will be using. Okay, if you read the requirements here, it says we need a jQuery, and then we will need a facybox over here at facybox CSS file. So you will need require 3 files over here. The first one will be our jQuery file, the second will be our facybox file. Alright, JS file for facybox, and the third one will be our facybox CSS. Alright, so the best site to pick up CDNs from is cdnjs.com, if you guys are not aware about it. So here we go, and then from here we copy our jQuery. We go to jQuery. Okay, we search for jQuery, go there and just read the name over here in the end. Okay, just don't look at all this, this is same for everything. And here if you look at this name is what matters. Okay, when you select a CDN, so here it says jQuery min.js, and we need this file, so we'll copy this. From here you have copy script tag, we don't want the URL, we want the script tag. Okay, so just pick up the script tag. And the second thing that we want is we need facybox. Okay, here I'm not copying the link because I already have it embedded over here. I just have to uncomment this. So first you will have to load your jQuery. Okay, if you see the name over here, it says jQuery.min.js, and then you will have to use facybox.min.js. So when you search for facybox, you will see jQuery.facybox.min.js. Alright, so this file you will have to use. And if you see here, you also have a JS file and you also have a CSS file. Okay, so copy both of them and embed that in your project. So here you have your facybox CSS. Now you can use CDNs, and also you can download the files. So you can download the jQuery.min.js file, and also you can download the CSS file, put that into your folder and then link it manually from there. Okay, that can also be done, or also you can directly copy the script tag from here. Or also one more thing you can do is if you open this link here, okay, let's paste it and open it. So you will get the entire code over here. Even if you Control A, Control C this code and you see the name jQuery reference and you use it that way also it will work. If you don't want to go and search for a downloadable file, you can do this thing as well. So this will work for you. Alright, so this is what we will be using. And to integrate this, our first step was including a jQuery because that was required. Then second thing was including the facybox link. Then the third thing we had to do is link the style sheet. Now the main work that we have to do is we have to use this data facybox attribute which is coming from the script, right? And what we have to do is we have to give an anchor tag. Okay, and in the href you will give the name of the image. Okay, the same name of the image that is there inside over here. Always remember your anchor tag has to be the parent of your image that you want to open. Okay, so you have to have your anchor tag, and then in between of that you have to have your image. Okay, and the same image name has to be as the href of your anchor tag. Alright, so same thing we will do for all our images over here. For the second image, and if you give some other image name over here, and when you click on the image there will be some other image that will open that is mentioned in your anchor tag. So be sure and make sure that you enter the same image name that you entered down here in your image. Okay, so don't make that mistake. So okay, on this thing we need this, and if you guys don't know the shortcut for the clipboard, then it is Control V that I just pressed, because of which the clipboard opened. Okay, so here also we have to mention image number 3 and you save, and here when we refresh So can you see it is following the same format. We have an href, okay. We have to use this data facybox gallery over here, okay. This is coming from their website. If you read their docs, and there it is mentioned that you have to use data facybox and then say gallery over here, and that will work fine. Alright, so we refreshed our page. So now when you just hover over the image, can you see you are getting a pointer, okay. These images just give you a cursor, but here you get a pointer, correct. So when you click on it, you will have this magnifying glass also, and you have that image being opened up, okay. So if you click outside, it closes. Then you have this image also opening up. You click outside, the third image also opens up, right. The image is small, but it opens up big in a pop-up. So when you change, it changes, and this is how your gallery works. So I hope this video was helpful, and if you like this video, then do not forget to press that like button, and also subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming up with content related to web development for beginners, and also different things related to web development. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let's meet in the next video. Till then, bye guys.